Hello, I'm Malcolm Harslett. Can you imagine the life of a carnival operator constantly on the move and giving thrills to the public? Well, we're going to find out more about the carny lifestyle next on OurTime. And welcome to OurTime. Our very special guest is Amanda McPherson and two young lads that we're going to meet later on as we find out more about travelling across Australia with carnivals. Hi Amanda, welcome to OurTime.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What an amazing lifestyle you must lead.
Yeah, it is very interesting, a little bit different.
What's the longest you've ever been in a place?
Probably this time here in Adelaide, about 4 months we'll be here because of COVID.
Exactly. And that must have absolutely trashed everybody in this field in Australia.
Yeah, it's been very difficult 18 months with border closures and event cancellations and the uncertainty in our industry. So yeah, it just has thrown everything up in the air and we just have to reinvent the wheel week in and week out sometimes because things are just constantly changing. So it's very difficult.
Do you miss having somewhere to sort of put roots down, so to speak? Because basically you've got to live in a caravan.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time.
Look, home is where the heart is, and
where
we're
the
lucky.
family is.
Yeah, exactly. Our view's constantly changing every week, so it is good to come home at the end of the circuit at the end of the year, which is in Phillip Island in Victoria.
Oh, what a lovely spot.
Yeah, it is lovely. So, after the hectic circuit, it's always good to get home. But as the weather starts to change, it's time to get going again, and we, get on the move and follow the sun and start to head north.
Well, so what would your normal circuit be if COVID hadn't have been the big issue the last 2 years?
Yeah, so we generally start the circuit starting in January in summer. So we do a summer carnival in Phillip Island. It's a tourist destination out of Melbourne. So we stay there for January, and then we do some events, festivals, like summer festivals in and around Metro Melbourne. Then we head to Sydney for the Sydney Royal Easter Show.
So you at least get a couple of months at home, so to speak.
We do, yeah. So the kids generally start their school year at our hometown, which is in Cowes in Phillip Island, and they get the first term there before we take off on a circuit. So after that we go to Sydney for the Easter show, and we do a little bit around regional New South Wales. And then we start the circuit in Queensland, which generally starts around May. And we do May, June, July, all the way on the east coast, all the way up to Cairns and up to Mosman. Is that
following the good weather?
That's right. Well, it's winter, so it's very cold here in Adelaide in that time.
More pleasant that way.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there in that time, so a good way to spend the winter. So we go all the way up to like Mosman and Port Douglas and do little agricultural shows on circuit up there. And then we make our way back down and we do the Brisbane Ekka in Brisbane, and then we head to Adelaide for the Royal Show, across to Melbourne for the Royal Melbourne Show, across to Perth at times as well. And then we do...
So this is all road travel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And we have at times up to 10 vehicles on convoy with us on that circuit. And then we do an agricultural regional circuit through Victoria, and then we had a little bit of spare time in December. So rather than just taking that time off, we decided to create another event here back in Adelaide for December.
Oh, and that's Santa's Wonderland.
Correct,
right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute, because that's quite a major event, because this is...
This is year six now.
Sixth year, yes.
Yep.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
So how did you start? Were your family in this business?
Yeah, so my family were actually involved in the equestrian side. They were actually involved in the horses, and they competed at agricultural shows. So I grew up in a country town in New South Wales with my family, and we would always be out attending agricultural shows on weekends and competing with the horses.
Right. Do you ride?
I did when I was younger.
And not when you're pregnant?
No. So we always did the circuit, and then one year I think Mum and Dad got sick of the winter as well and said, let's pack up the family and we'll head north for the winter. So we did the circuit all the way to Queensland as well when I was a kid, and they actually had a travelling saddlery that we used to do the show circuit and supply equipment and goods that they needed for the horses to compete at the shows.
Right.
So so we started doing homeschooling from I think year 3. And
well, this is pre-Zoom, obviously. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? Was that the School of the Air?
yeah, it was very difficult. We would sometimes attend schools each week, so they would
okay.
organise for us to attend the school at the town.
Was that so that you had that sort of contact with other kids or teachers, or?
It was just the way that they structured the classroom, because we didn't have any sort of facilities, to go and learn together as a group of children.
Right.
So, but it was not the best, environment, and it was a bit disruptive for, I think, the schools to have the kids coming in. So a lot of the time they would just sit us at the back of the classroom with some colouring in pencils, and it wasn't a lot of learning.
Well, what a shame, because your history is rich with knowing
Yeah.
the country, which I often think, and I've said it many times on this program, we learned English history at school. We knew nothing about our Australian history. We knew nothing
Yeah.
about First Nation people.
Yeah.
We had no idea of anything.
Yeah.
And it's only in later life of travelling that I've learned so
Yeah.
much about this country that we didn't know. Fortunately, today it's a different story.
Yeah, and it's so much better. So now we actually have an established school, the National School for Travelling Show Children.
Who knew?
Yeah, and that's fantastic. So we actually have travelling classrooms that travel the circuit with us. We have different classrooms for the lower and the upper grades, and teachers that travel. So the kids follow the curriculum of the Dubbo School of Distance Education, and then they get sent their work, and then it's facilitated in a classroom. They've got their own little uniforms, and
really?
they go to class every day on
How
circuit.
amazing.
So it's really great. So much better, and they obviously have like Zoom and online lessons every day. And
But they've also got the great pleasure of being amongst all the rides and all the action.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's very exciting for them.
I'm going to ask them those questions a bit later.
Yeah.
Is this something you wanted to pursue in life, or did it just sort of, your career just sort of keep going in that direction?
Well, growing up doing it with my family, it's all I knew when I was younger. But of course, I didn't want to do this. I said to my family, I was like, I don't want to be a carny. I want to move to Melbourne and live and work in fashion. So I actually left the circuit with my family when I was about 17 and did that and moved to Melbourne. And I did hairdressing when I was there. I did an apprenticeship and spent about 6 years living right in the city of Melbourne. And then I'm like, okay, now I want to travel. So I went and did some backpacking around Southeast Asia and in Europe, and did a lot of traveling, and actually left this lifestyle for about 11 years. But always stayed in contact with my friends that I grew up with.
That's probably a good thing, isn't it? Because it's just widened your whole knowledge of the world.
Yeah, so yeah,
important.
got to meet lots of different people living and working in Melbourne, and overseas as well. So that really expanded my vocabulary and experience and knowledge and skills that I then brought back into this business later. So
Well, we were saying before, because the word carny is a very commonly used term, I suppose, for show people. It sort of almost crosses into every area, really, of show people.
yeah.
But showman is the preferred one, isn't it? So where did the origin of carny come from?
Well, I think the term carny started in the US from carnivals, because over there they don't really do agricultural shows, which is the history
Like
we
we
have
do
here in
here,
Australia. So they do carnivals, so the word carny for short. But it's really not liked to be referred to as a carny in Australia, because there is a negative connotation that is associated with it. So I know. My husband and his family and a lot of the community, they really don't like that word being called a carny. They prefer to be referred to as a showman. But it's funny, in the last 18 months we haven't done many shows, and we've had to adapt and create our own events, and most of the time they're carnivals. So I guess now we probably should be referred to as carnies more than showmen. So yeah.
Well, I suppose the showman was about a show of whatever the show was, whether it was horses or cattle or whatever, and how you showed them at a show.
Yeah.
But the people that brought in the rides, and I suppose it's just that delineation between the two. But these days it's not really that different, is it? Because everybody's sort of moving around together.
Yeah, exactly.
And circuses similarly, I guess.
Yeah, circus is similar.
So your family, do you specialise in anything like rides or general entertainment?
So I mean, we're a really large family. My husband has...
This is Russell?
Yeah, so Russell Watkins, he has a brother and a sister, so they're both involved in this family and all of their children. And his father was one of four. And all of the family are all involved in this, so all cousins and brothers and sisters, and now their children and grandchildren are all involved in this business. So
and everyone helps everybody out when you need help. It's like, oh, I'll get an old phone and
there's a lot of camaraderie in the community. There's between like all of the family members, they specialise in different areas. So some people do the rides, some people do the catering, some people do the carnival games. A lot of the children start in carnival games before they move into rides.
And saying about the catering, I never thought of that. That's definitely another aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
How much fairy floss and drinks have you made in your lifetime?
It's a very hard skill to master, actually. You have
Is
to,
it?
it's not easy. It's not as easy as it looks. So I remember one time, the first time I tried to make fairy floss and then the sugar just spurted back out. It was like being shot with a machine gun. So
love it.
It's a bit of a special skill. And there's a lot of secret family recipes with making Dagwood dogs and special cream.
Yes.
And it's written on bits of paper that is like, passed down.
Handed
it's all
down
top
from. I
secret. So,
love it. I love
it.
So much to talk about, and we'll be back in just a moment to do just that with Amanda McPherson. And welcome back to Our Time. Our special guest is Amanda McPherson. Amanda, this Santa's Wonderland that we're right in the middle of now, I guess, because it just opened, hasn't it?
Yeah, so we just had our opening weekend.
This is here in South Australia.
Correct, yeah. So we just got through the first weekend, so it's always good to get all the wheels turning and the motors running and everything.
Yeah, because it's an indoor theme park, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. Christmas indoor theme park.
And why did you come up with this idea here in South Australia?
Well, we identified the need for the event in Adelaide because we knew that the Adelaide community absolutely loved Christmas with the long-standing history with the Christmas pageant that's been here, and there wasn't anything in market here. So we just realised that there was a need to bring this to the families of Adelaide.
And who's it pitched to? Is it like little teeny weeny children, or is it like a broader family?
All believers, everybody who believes and loves Christmas.
I love it.
Yeah.
All the believers. That's what it should be up on a banner. All the believers who love Christmas. I love that.
Yeah.
But did you have a history doing this before? Like, have you done an event like this before? Because it is big.
Yeah, not on this scale. So it's definitely the biggest event that we've ever, established.
Because everything doesn't just go, gone, disappear. Where do you store everything?
Oh yeah, so it is a big production. So we have about 12 40-foot containers. That's just all the decorations, and then about another 12 trailers with amusement rides, and then we have an ice skating rink, and there's.
So you have to make ice as well.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's a big production. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of organising and tying it all together.
And a lot of staff too, I imagine.
Yeah, we have probably about 150 direct staff that are involved day in and day out of the event. So yeah, it's a pretty big production.
It's amazing. It's such a big thing to take on though when it isn't your home base. How did you engineer this? I mean, how did you know? Well, you just said you know about the pageant. Actually, it's interesting because there used to be, in John Martin's, the department store that used to have that, used to be a magic cave. It's sort of like an extended version of that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So look, it just really from the inception took on a life of its own. We just, floated the idea, had the concept, and then it was just really embraced from the moment it became live online. And the Adelaide community just swallowed it all up and just, were really excited by bringing it. So we just really wanted to deliver, an amazing experience, for the children of Adelaide. So we just wanted it to be a really high-end quality event, But we just wanted everything to be on a really large scale, because I remember as a child going to, theme parks and seeing, like a big, large talking tree, and, just looking up at them and just thinking that they were absolutely, enormous, and having those memories. So we just wanted to make, that real wonderland, environment for the children to just be absolutely amazed. And
you've just made my head go with memories from childhood.
Yeah.
I've got photos with there was an animated elephant that I think it still exists with the pageant that used to be there. And I remember as a small child screaming my head off at about 2 or 3 years old, getting a photo with this.
Yeah.
And the magic of that, I think that's what, seeing these things, seeing these larger than life and colour and it just sets up an imagination in a child, I think, that lasts for a lifetime.
That's right, yeah.
Did you see something like that when you were a kid?
Yeah, well, I mean, travelling and doing events as a kid, there was always, different things to see and visit, and I have a lot of those memories myself as a child. So that's what we just, and especially Russell, that's what he kept saying, when the kids come in, you've got to see them looking up, and you've got to see, the amazement on their faces. So everything had to be really large scale, so that it was, really amazing for the children. They would, not forget it.
Yeah, it's true. So what do you do when you're not travelling? Do you have other hobbies that are of interest?
Well, we used to go on holidays, but I mean, everybody, can't do that at the moment.
Isn't your life a complete holiday?
Yeah.
Because you're constantly moving. That's interesting, actually. You can have a holiday at home, I suppose.
Yeah, well, what we would do when we did have a short break was, jump on a plane and go and visit other theme parks and events around the world to gather inspiration. And so we haven't been able to do that. So look, we've had a fair bit of time off in the last 18 months. So, we're just really keen to...
But really, how do you live when you can't work?
Well, it's been very difficult. A lot of people have been in this situation, during COVID. So we've just had to... it's very hard when they say, pivot your business and adapt when, your whole business is in, contact with people and entertaining people. So we had, a lot of time off during lockdowns where we just, bunkered down and hibernated during that time. And we've just had to adapt. I mean, if we were attending an event, at any time it can be cancelled. So we've just had to, find an alternative, change it, create a new event at the drop of a hat. So it's been very stressful because
and negotiate directly with the government, with the SA Health here in South Australia.
Yeah.
Was that difficult? Were they helpful, or was it a brick wall?
Well, South Australia last year had an event framework already in place because they were doing so well. So we had, a framework to navigate to. It was, very stringent. So we had to comply, with a lot of the regulations. So yeah, it was a lot of work.
Do you remember what they were? Was it, because we weren't mask wearing then, which we are now.
Yeah.
And as I recall, last Christmas, people weren't, here in South Australia, they weren't really as conscious as the Victorians were, for example.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Did it make it any easier? Were you restricted last year in what you could do? Number of people and...
Well, spending those first few months in lockdown in Victoria, we were acutely aware of all of the restrictions. So when we first arrived in South Australia, we were really surprised at how free it was compared to Victoria. And I think that I was prepared to, put this event on, in hazmat suits if we needed to. So we were quite pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as stringent as what we were used to. So we didn't have to wear masks indoors. So that's a greater restriction that we're facing this year. But it was just a matter of adapting, crowd controls, density levels, spacing out in the queues, the way that we load the rides, and keeping, spaces between family groups, and just, making sure that everything, was spaced and sanitised after every use. So there was just a lot of...
That's a big job, isn't it, to go through everything, because everything's touchy to get onto rides or...
Yeah, exactly.
What a big job.
We had a very intense COVID management plan to submit, and it was 200 pages long, and it was, gone through with a fine-tooth comb. So it was a huge job. I mean, to bring the production to life normally is a big job, but also have to, add these additional measures.
Do you think the public actually appreciate or understand what it takes to make this happen? When you walk into a venue and everything is lovely and the lights are flashing and, oh, that's pretty, oh, that's pretty. Do you think they actually understand how much work goes into that?
I think some people do, and some people, you know, they don't realise as well. But I think for us as well, like we are just a small family business. So I think that, you know, on the surface it presents as this, you know, big international production where it's really, you know, like my husband and myself and, you know, kids in tow, and, you know, we're doing a lot, you know, ourselves on the front line. So
It's a family business providing for families, because as a family, you know what family's like.
That's right.
It's always a very simple thing. Your boys are over there champing at the bit. So after the break, we're going to get your two boys on and we'll find out a little bit about their lifestyle on the road. And welcome back to Our Time. We have part of the family. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hello, hello. That's Harry in the middle and Oliver. And Mum, are these good boys? Because they're on the road a lot.
At times.
Do you have to tie them up so they don't get lost?
Well, we have actually lost Harry at a major event one time. That was very frightening.
Harry.
Please
What did
don't
you
tell the
do?
story.
What happened?
I hid under barrels. They thought I was sleeping under boxes, but I was under barrels.
We couldn't find him for about an hour and a half on the main busy day of the
Brisbane
public holiday
show.
of Brisbane show, where there was a massive 60,000 people crowd, and Harry goes missing at about 11 o'clock. So yes, we do have to tie him up at times. And Oliver, we have to try and get outside more often because he's our technology guru and just wants to be inside most of the time.
I've noticed
Same with me.
that. But Harry, you've got paint on you. What have you been doing today?
So we were setting up the dodgems, and they were painting it all. For some reason, I thought it was fun to just paint everything one colour.
Right. But you've got two colours, it looks to me. Got a bit of blue and a bit of red.
No,
Just blue?
I don't think there is.
Do you like being in a place that you can do all those sort of things?
Like helping Dad do the maintenance on the
Yeah.
rides.
My favourite place is not the yard where we set up. It's actually the skate park.
Oh, really? So Oliver, you're the tech guru in the family,
Yes.
I believe. So what's your specialty?
Well, fixing internet boxes, trying to help because the internet boxes are a high percentage. He doesn't have patience, and he gets like this
Stop
every
it.
time.
Stop.
And he once
Stop.
threw a remote at the TV
Don't tell it,
at
sorry,
Serena
Okay,
because he doesn't have patience and the internet was slow.
right.
And
Broke the TV, didn't he?
yes, and yesterday I just figured out how to do a Zoom.
Right.
But I didn't work because the only time I thought I had it because I wanted to go into my own meetings, but I can't.
Well, that's all going to change for you next year, I'm told. Because
Yes.
you're going to a boarding school next year.
Yes.
What do you feel about that?
Excited and nervous at the same time.
Going to miss the family, do you think? Will it be as exciting?
1 out of the 3 of the family members.
You won't miss?
Are you referring to somebody sitting between you that you're not going to miss?
I'm not going to miss Harry because I had to put up with him 7 whole years and it was so annoying.
So you're just a regular
You don't
family,
need to,
really?
right?
That's pretty much the same as every other family with two boys.
Exactly, yeah.
It's
Do
just
you love doing what you do?
Yes, I like
He
to see
doesn't.
my friends.
No, but working with the family, do you enjoy the travelling? Do you enjoy setting up, pulling down?
Yeah, because I've got to watch Harry when it's showtime, and it's really exciting just to get outside and see what's going on now, even if I do not want to and I'm forced against my will.
Oh, of course. Well, that happens, doesn't it? Do you think you will end up being a showman too?
Yeah, sure. If I put my mind to it, but
Okay. Harry, what about you?
Want to
Deep
take over the
thinking.
rides for Dad? Hope so. He's relying on you.
Well,
No.
Just like any family. Look, good luck with the Santa's Wonderland. I hope it goes as well this year. And everybody stays healthy and happy.
Yeah, thank you.
And with the new baby, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, good luck.
Have our hands full.
It's been great having your company too, as it has been Amanda and her two sons. So until next time on Our Time, keep yourself nice till then. See you soon.